Hi there everybody, Trudy here, One Grounded Angel. This is the weekly angel card reading for the week beginning Monday the 15th of April through to the 21st, 2019. So I went to upload my weekly video this morning, as I do every Sunday for the week beginning, and realised the video I had recorded in advance had no sound. Not ideal. So here I am again doing a do-over, which is a bit annoying, but who knows, perhaps it's a chance for me to communicate the messages better than I did yesterday. So what that means is the cards have already been prepared. I shuffled them yesterday. I'm not doing that again. So I know what the cards are going to be, but I'm sure you guys can trust me without having seen the shuffling process to know that this is the right card for this particular day. So just a quick heads up, on Friday we have a full moon in Libra. So it's not a super moon, but very unusual that we have two Libra full moons so close together. So we had the Libra super moon last month in March. And so the fact that this one follows so closely, you might see some of the same patterns repeating. Libra, just a reminder, is associated with beauty, art, love, relationships, generosity, peace, harmony, all those sorts of things. So if you've got any blocks or recurring kind of issues there that you didn't resolve last full moon, perhaps you'll see some more repeated kind of messages around that. So without further ado, let me go through the cards. So I have to say, actually, the fact that the sound didn't work in my last recording is quite ironic, because Monday's card is listen. And in the first recording I talked a little bit about clairaudience, which is one of the ways that we can receive messages from the divine. So feel free to Google the 4 clairs if you want to know more information about this, because clairvoyance is the one that everybody kind of knows in terms of spiritual communication, but clairaudience, clairsentience, I've forgotten the other one. Anyway, they're lesser known. So this is about the way that sounds kind of communicate messages to us. And there's a whole sort of range, I guess, of ways that this could apply. Perhaps the messages that I recorded, I wasn't listening enough to my intuition. Who knows? I talked a little bit about how I was once having a communication with a conversation with my spiritual coach, and a siren went past. I live in the suburbs. We don't get a lot of emergencies around here. So, and she said that is because they're telling you that this is quite urgent. You really need to pay attention to this and action it pretty quickly. So that's one example. And I've talked also about how signs, the angels use music from time to time to communicate with us. And that can be, you know, walking into a grocery store and they're playing a song that is meaningful to you, or that the lyrics jump out at you, or something like that. So sound can be another one, and that also refers to words or messages you hear in your head that are like someone is speaking to you but no one around you is, which might scare you if you're not prepared for it, but I'm quite used to it. I'm not talking about your kind of imagination or anything like that. I'm talking about words that very distinctly did not come from you. The other thing I need to tell you about this card is it comes up for people who have too much noise in their brain. Their brains are ticking over constantly. This is me, by the way. That random inner dialogue that's so, you know, unhelpful is going full bore. And it's going to be really difficult for you to receive messages from the divine if there's too much noise going on. You're just not going to be able to hear it. So, in particular, if you live in a noisy city, this reminds you need to get some stillness. So that could be literally you get out of town for a break. Maybe you need a break, or it could be more like the sort of stillness where you tune out of social media for 10-15 minutes, which, you know, might not sound like very long, but if you're used to constantly being on your phone, you might find that a little challenging. Maybe it's that you find 10 minutes to go and sit in the garden with a cup of tea by yourself. If you're a parent of small children, that might be a big ask, but you will love the silence, because if you have no stillness or no opportunities for reflection, then you're not going to be able to get those messages as easily, and you're not going to be able to. You're going to be more in a state of anxiety in terms of, I don't know what to do, because there's too much noise in your brain and you don't know which is genuine and which is just the mental chatter. So this is really reminding you to get some clarity by turning down the volume and getting away from that cycle. Obviously, meditation's a really great way you can do that, but I am very aware that meditation is not everybody's friend. So walking in nature, going to the beach, I find being near the beach, I can really get a lot more stillness. Doing creative activities, because they help you be more present. That can help as well. So the next card for Tuesday, this is passion. And I posted on my Facebook page last week a podcast episode talking about how follow your passion is not a particularly helpful message in terms of your career. And what I would say with passion is that we keep expecting it to come from somewhere else. Like, our partners are supposed to provide the passion, or our job is supposed to provide the passion in our lives, and we forget about the fact that it actually needs to come from us. So if you feel like there's no passion in your life, what are you doing to stimulate some passion in your life? What are the things you are doing that make your heart sing? And often when I ask clients that question, they're like, oh, I don't have any time. And that's the problem. We devote time to the things that we think are important that are actually, at the end of our lives, we will not even remember having spent time on them, because we've forgotten that doing things that make us feel alive is actually more meaningful. That's not to say there aren't still chores that we all need to do and responsibilities, but we have to be really careful that we don't forget, in the busyness, we don't forget to do things that we're passionate about. Now, something that's really problematic with the word passion is some people will say, I don't know what I'm passionate about. And that's because there's this kind of misconception, and the podcast episode does talk about this, that there's a passion that's innate within us, and if we just uncover it, everything will be fine. But it doesn't really work like that. Often you have to work at something to really discover that you're passionate about it. It's not something like you pick up a guitar and then you just know that that's your passion, which I'm sure can happen for some people, but it's not the case for everybody. So please, if you feel like there's no passion in your life, please don't feel like that's a failing on your part because you just haven't spent enough time trying all the different hobbies of the world to find the one that instantly clicks with you. That's not how it works. But you do need to be spending time on things that do make you happy. And even if it's not an instant result, that bring you some peace. If you keep going with them, maybe you'll discover you're passionate about them. So it's not about following your passion. It's about working towards things that you enjoy and then seeing where that takes you. Hopefully that makes sense. And in terms of the relationship stuff, if you don't have a lot of passion in your relationship, what are you doing to spark some passion in the relationship? Or are you just waiting for your partner to read your mind and know that's what you want and then act on it? Because that's kind of not going to work. Wednesday, God box. Now, the title of this card's a little problematic. Not everybody is down with the word God. I get that. A lot of people have been burned by institutional religion. Please sub out the word God with the universe, creator, source, whatever you're comfortable with. I use the universe because it's a very, benevolent, it's a very popular kind of term that people kind of understand, that it refers to a power greater than us without having to assign any kind of judgy sort of institutional religion kind of misunderstandings kind of yoking to that. So the title is referring to an exercise that you can use to help alleviate the worry in your life. And the message is all about worry. So this is asking you, a bit like I said before about that mental chatter, how much time you are wasting worrying about things that A, don't matter, and B, which are not helping you, because let's face it, worrying about something very, very rarely helps you resolve the situation. In an ideal world, we would be able to trust and surrender to the universe and knowing that things will work out. And if they don't work out as good as we want them to, knowing that we have the resilience, the skills, or whatever it is to deal with that that outcome, whatever it is. But worrying about that worst case scenario in a bid to kind of prepare yourself for it doesn't work, and in fact it attracts the result that you do not want, or some version of what you don't want, and repels the thing that you do, which is the good outcome. So going back to this God box exercise, it goes like this. You visualize an angel in front of you holding a box. And then you visualize yourself putting each of your worries into that box one at a time. And I feel like that's really helpful in itself, because you're kind of listing them and going through them all, deconstructing them, rather than them sitting at the back of your mind and then pouncing on you and you go, oh, you thought life was good, but here's all this stuff you've got to worry about. So you're actually pulling them out, a bit like Dumbledore with the memories that in Harry Potter they pull out of the head and put into the, I've forgotten it, the little bowl. And so then you visualize this angel taking it up to heaven, and those worries will be transmuted into love and light. So the way that this is helpful is because it lightens your load. You feel like you don't have to stand guard over those worries all the time. They're being looked after by someone else. You can relax. This is very effective before you go to sleep, particularly, but it can be any time of the day, just to lighten that load, because sometimes with things we're worried about, we don't want to let them go because we feel like that's negligent in some way, and then something bad will happen because we haven't been watching over them to prevent the bad things from happening, which, yeah, as I mentioned, it doesn't actually help. So if that doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. All you need to take from this particular card is that message about notice when you are spending too much time worrying, and really think about techniques you can use to circumvent that, because it is not helping you. In fact, it's weighing you down, and it's taking your mind off things that matter, such as your passions. And I would also say, if you do go with that God box exercise, keep in mind that you don't have to sit there and wait for the angel to come in front of you, because some people who feel that they're not very visual really struggle with that. They can't see it happening. It's okay to will it into your mind. You don't have to literally see it. Just imagine it. It's totally okay. It doesn't matter whether it's really happening or not. It's an exercise to help you to shift that energy from the worry zone and help you dig down into that sort of peace that's within you already that you've forgotten you have. So that's Wednesday. Thursday? Yes, Thursday. What comes after Wednesday? The person you are asking about is trustworthy. If you have come into this reading very concerned about a particular person, whether you can trust them, here's a very black and white answer for you. Yes, you can trust them. They are trustworthy. If that's not the case for you, then this is asking you to examine trust issues. Such fun. Now, trust issues can show up in a number of ways. It might be that you're reluctant to start a new job because you got laid off in your last job, and now you're worried that you can't trust the employer, and perhaps you might have very good grounds for doing so. But yeah, as I mentioned, it can be also relationships. It might be that you're afraid to trust yourself with a new project you're committing to because you don't feel. You might not be aware of this, but on a deeper level, you're not convinced that you're good enough for it, or you're capable enough. So it could be a confidence thing lurking underneath. So there are lots of ways that trust comes up. Ask yourself where it's showing up for you, and really try and find some ways to work through that. If it's really deep, definitely go see a counsellor, a therapist, whatever resonates with you. Obviously, I would always, as an energy healer, I would always advocate energy healing because it goes so deep and it goes right through all your past lives, not just this lifetime, to clear any blocks related to that issue. And we can really kind of make some progress for you there in a way that's sustainable. But if that's not your jam, that's okay. I never want to be pushing this onto anybody. So is there anything else I need to... I'm actually going to read the text with this. Thank you for helping me to have faith so I can open my heart wider in my relationships. I am grateful for your protection, ensuring that only trustworthy people are in my life. I think a strategy that I guess the stance I used to have was, I'm going to doubt everybody so that then I won't be caught short in case somebody really is not reliable. And that actually doesn't work. So your intuition will always tell you if someone's not trustworthy. You might choose to override that, particularly if it's a relationship and you've been single for a very long time and you just want to be in a relationship so badly that you willfully ignore that. That's okay, no judgment, that happens. Or there might be a case where you're so, it's usually you want the outcome, the good outcome that you visualize so badly that you override that intuitive message. But you don't need to question every single person you come across feeling that they are going to mislead you in some way if you aren't wary of them from the outset. Now, I'm not saying you have to trust every single person either. What I'm saying is if you relax that tendency to doubt and just let your intuition guide you, you'll get a pretty clear reading straight away, and then you'll know who to trust and who not to, rather than approaching it from a sort of guilty until proven innocent type approach. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Friday, the Mother card. Now, it's got Mother Mary depicted on here, and there's a couple of ways, or a few actually, that this could resonate. If you want to become a mother and you are feeling really doubtful of that, this card tells you to talk to Mother Mary, who's associated with conception, and ask for help with that. It could be about your own mother. If you are having some tensions in your relationship with your mother, that is super common, by the way. Lately I've been having a lot of clients who are really struggling with their mothers, and society will tell you there's something wrong with you, because we're supposed to have this hallmark perfect mother-daughter relationship or mother-son relationship, and I'm telling you that's not necessarily the case for everybody. So if your relationship is not smooth sailing, that's okay. Please don't feel guilty about that or feel like there's something wrong with you. So you might like to go and get some work done on that, whether it's some sort of healing to help you make peace with the outcome if you've decided to sever ties, if that's because the relationship is so toxic, or if there's just constant tension. What are the ways the strategies you can do to manage that? So I would suggest working with a therapist to help you with that. And if you're a mum and you're having trouble with your kids, you might like to know that this card reassures you you are actually a really good mother, even though it's not easy and you may feel like you're failing. You're not. You're doing a good job. So please know that and try not to beat yourself up too much. Also, mothering yourself. So that's the last kind of interpretation I would take with this. If you don't have kids, you're not going to be having kids, maybe, and your relationship with your own mum is totally fine, it might be a call for you to mother yourself better. So, and if you're a Cancer, you probably already know this because that is a sign of nurturing. And so the mother card is about the ways that you look after yourself. Are you, on a very basic level, drinking enough water, going to bed early, all those sort of ways, those the really fundamental self-care things that people don't think about when they think self-care. They tend to think about bubble baths and manicures, but actually self-care is wider than that. It's about the way you look after yourself on an everyday basis, and also the way you talk to yourself. So if you're struggling with something, and think about the things that you would say to your own kid who is struggling, or that you would want your mother to say to you, like, it's okay, you're doing a great job, or, it's going to be all right, whatever that message is. Maybe you need to do a bit of soothing of your inner child in that way and reassuring there. Nurturing yourself is a super important message. Now for Saturday, I got called to use the Gateway Oracle cards by Denise Lynn, which I don't use very often, and 2 cards jumped out. So I'm not really sure how they go together, but I think it might be like a one or the other situation. So whichever one resonates with you, go with that. And if it is both, by all means, take both. So I'll start with this: following your bliss, which makes me think of the Joseph Campbell quote. So I've talked already about passion, and spoiler alert, passion is going to be the theme of the week. And this is really backing up that message about the need for you to really spend some time uncovering that. Do not put it off. Don't think that you can have fun only when you retire because you're too busy right now. You just can't. Your life is too precious. You can't afford to waste it fulfilling obligations for other people and not spending enough time doing the things that make you come alive. I'd like to say life is short, but I believe that we have multiple lifetimes, and some of you perhaps do as well. So in that way, perhaps your life isn't short, but your soul's come here for a reason, and part of it is learning, and part of it also is enjoying the experience of being human, which is quite a phenomenal experience, really. And although you'll probably be back, you'll never be back in this form. So what can you learn? What can you really enjoy? What's going to make you feel connected more? And often our passions are what are that. So people who love cooking, for example, or music, or they'll talk about how sometimes it feels like their brain's not even involved, it's just automatic. But that is something, obviously they've had a lot of practice to get to that point. I know I used to play the guitar years ago. I was never very good. I didn't care. I enjoyed it. And sometimes it would feel like my hand was completely cut off from my body, and it was just moving completely by itself, and I wasn't in control of that process, and it was incredible. But of course, as soon as I started thinking about it, my brain started taking over again. But that is an example of how your intuition can take over when you're doing things like things that you're really passionate about and that you really enjoy. Sharing of yourself is the other message. So this card is about generosity, and I've mentioned before how we need to be giving and receiving. This is more about the giving and receiving, so the giving than the receiving. But I would say in general that this card is an opportunity to examine that balance of giving love and receiving it. You have to be able to, it has to move in both directions. You can't be take from people and not doing enough for them. And equally, you can't be giving, exhausting yourself by giving to everyone else, not letting anyone help or support you, and suffering in silence. So the sharing of yourself, that could be for some of you needing to open up about the way you feel instead of pretending that you're okay and everything's fine. But equally, it's about what can you do for people. If you feel like all you're doing at the moment is ringing your friends to whinge about your life, that's going to really annoy your friends. So what can you be doing to actually to give something back to them, to thank them for listening? Can you be taking more of an interest in their lives, or doing something practical to help and support them? That is sharing of yourself. And also, when we are giving, we need to be doing it for the right reasons. Don't be, donating your time because you want everyone to think what a good person you are, or or because you're trying to escape from your life. Equally, that's a massive problem for a lot of women. They're trying to escape from their problems by investing in various activities, or other people's, trying to rescue other people from their dramas to avoid their own. Make sure you're giving with the intention of fulfilling that formula of expanding love. Love expands when it's given and received. So you give, then you're going to receive more. But you're not doing it to do that. Sorry, that makes sense. You're doing it because it's part of the formula, and that means that you are a vessel of love. You're not doing it for what you get back. Hopefully that made sense. Sunday retreat. Now, in an ideal world, everybody could retreat from their lives and actually go up into the mountains and get away from their busy lives. That's probably not realistic. However, if you are living in the Western world, you probably are on a long weekend right now. So that's a pretty good start. Hopefully you're unwinding. Retreat can be literal, as I said, and if you're not able to get out of town, could it be a day trip to a different part of town by yourself? It's really about solitude, that kind of 12th house stuff in astrology. And don't worry if that doesn't mean anything to you, but about getting some time on your own. I talked before about 10 minutes in the garden with a cup of tea or a magazine, something retreating from the busyness, from the hamster wheel where you're just running around doing things and not being stagnant enough to let the intuitive messages reach you, to let your mind register, I've got some problems here and I actually need to resolve them instead of running away from them. So it's about a need to escape the busyness and to bring in some stillness. So as you can see, that is a theme for the week. And the other theme, of course, is around your passion and really investing in that. So there we have it for the week. I just finished on 2222, which I feel is a good omen. And as always, these will go on my Instagram and my Facebook page, which is at One Grounded Angel. Now, if you want to reach me, the best thing to do is to hit me up via my website. And it's www.onegroundedangel.com. Just head to the bookings form there, and there's tons of information if you want to know more about the energy healing I mentioned earlier. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a terrific week, whatever shape that takes for you, and I'll be back next week.